Good night and welcome to the conversation where we discuss the topics of today, unplugged and unchained. Great. So tonight I'm your co-host Alistair Sampson, and tonight we also have with us Christopher Crossley, aka Mr. Crossley, sir, aka the gentleman himself. And we also have a special guest with us. He's the managing director of Jocks Enterprises Limited. We have the one, the only Kiran Rameshan, and you'll be able to hear from him as we go along today. So, Kiran, welcome to the show, man. How everything going?
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, great. Now, we have a nice little tradition here. We have what we call Christopher Crossley COVID check-in. So, Chris, it's in your hands right now, man.
All right, so thank you once again, everyone, for tuning in tonight. Another week here on the conversation where we like to say, give it to you straight, all filler, no fluff. All right. So as always, we like to start the conversation with what we call the COVID check-in. So for you, give me a name again. I don't want to pronounce your last name.
Karan Rameshan.
Karan. All right. So tell us, for you as the human being, because we say is a human behind the business, right? How has COVID been for you since it touched our shores those, 16 months ago when it came around last year?
So when it first came, we weren't affected immediately because being in the security systems industry, we were still permitted to work, right? Because we were seen as essential, dealing with access to homes and things like that. But then when the lockdowns came further, people got scared. So it seemed, and, they would hold back their spending. So then that, having the ability to work, but not having any work out there, it puts you in the same boat as being non-essential as well. So that started to affect us severely. Luckily, we had, one or two clients with multiple properties, things like that. And, it kept us afloat, but it was nothing close to our normal operations. You were seeing where it was dimming. It was dimming down on us.
Okay. And are you married? You have a family?
I'm not married.
Okay. The main thing is we always like to find out how does it affect you, at home, being, the person at home that maybe be the provider, or even in this case as the business owner that would probably have to pay employees. I know you said the business would have slowed down, but then as you personally, what would have been some of the struggles that you found yourself personally dealing with? Because we know as men, things affect us differently. We usually don't say, we don't speak. So this is usually, something we like to have those tuned in here to know, well, all right, they are not alone in these feelings.
So, well, it did affect us to that point, and to the point where we were probably just paying employees at that time, making enough just to cover salaries and, keep the business at a break even, more or less.
Okay.
And that only recently changed in July when construction was able to resume.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So during that time, you guys were mostly home, or as this case is, how exactly were you able now to deal with the challenges that you were facing because business was slowing down?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
But how were you dealing with the challenges due to business slowing down, right? What were the things that you had to do to more or less deal with these challenges?
Well, there was very little you could do during the lockdowns, meaning physically, right? But what I started doing was planning ahead to, my product lines and things we offer, pricing schemes, like now we offer a lot more lenient pricing in terms of product cost and service call cost, that things like that. And what we did was we decided that we need to find something different to to separate us from the rest. So, for instance, with our garage doors, we started looking at things. We found our own niche in that garage door industry where we looked at custom doors, different styles, different colors. So that is all in our plan right now, and some more innovative products as well that we realize we can't just sit there and be like everyone else. Otherwise you could fade away.
Correct. Correct. So you,
'Cause
you go ahead.
no, I'm aware of a couple small businesses in the same industry that would have exited already, and they are currently doing things in other fields.
Okay, so they may have changed completely while you all more or less niche down in a certain area within your industry and focus there. And I think I understand that because a lot of companies, instead of changing industry completely, they did actually niche down and say, okay, if in your case, okay, you're dealing with these garage doors, you decide, well, if it is the main thing right now that people are looking at still is that, then okay. Now, I did notice that you all do like access systems and stuff as well, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Did you find any surge or interest in that with security in terms of during the pandemic, people being more concerned about protecting their homes or anything like that?
Well, the access control that we mainly do, that falls under commercial. So we did have a couple inquiries about facial recognition readers that are able to read your faces with your mask on, detect temperatures. So it limits access to a door unless your temperature is normal and your mask is warm.
Okay.
And otherwise it will not open the door, right?
Okay.
So but as a commercial product, more or less, you're not going to install that at a home.
Yeah.
And at that time, most offices were closed. Or most, commercial buildings, corporate offices were closed at that time. So now that the pandemic is over, I think people are still uncertain about whether we're going to have another lockdown soon or not. So while they want to do these things to secure their premises even further, and also bring the standards up in their organization to comply with COVID protocols,
right.
They will also think about budgeting, like budgetary concerns in terms of if they're going to spend all that money now to end up back in a lockdown. Whereas with the homes, people, for gate operators, people were even scared for us to come at their gates. We had some wary customers, and I mean, usually when we attempt a gate issue, we actually don't come in contact with the consumer or the customer.
Right.
But even so, they were still a bit wary of it. You have one or two that understood that once they kept their distance, and obviously our technicians would have followed protocol. That's what we was dealing with.
Okay, so as you mentioned employees, allow me to ask, so in that case where employees now that is consumers who were probably a little paranoid, and I wouldn't say paranoid, let me say concerned, because they had all right to be. So on the other side of things, when it came to your employees, how were they dealing with that transition now of having to be in the field working, but still around, the possibility of contracting COVID and stuff like that?
I can't say they were scared. I could say they were concerned because they have families as well to go back home to. But I always stress with them that, they need to follow their protocols. And it's they can't just think of themselves. They have to think of who they're going home to, because they're the ones out there on the field. So I always ask them to be mindful, always remind them, we supplied masks to them, things like that.
Okay, good. And through these things that you've been seeing, are there any concerns now for yourself and even for your business going forward where, things are opening back up, people are moving around a little more, businesses are trying to return to some level of normalcy? Are there any concerns that you think you're seeing that people should more or less be aware of?
You mean in terms of business-wise?
Business-wise, what is things
security,
you've
health,
yeah.
I would say in terms of business, we're in a time now where convenience sells. Um, and that's where I'm heading towards. I'm getting my business towards going full online. And in the event of another lockdown, we want to be able to get products to people without having to actually come in contact with them or having to physically go there and things like that.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
so pre-programmed systems, things
Mm.
like that. Obviously, it will not be our whole catalog of products. It will be
Sure.
certain products that we're able to facilitate. Um,
Yeah, I know a
you,
lot of businesses doing that digital transformation right now and trying
yeah,
to see which one of their products or product lines can actually be moved to that kind of platform. Of course, like I said, not everything will be able to, because if you're dealing with gates and doors, which needs that installation process, to some extent, you really can't, just send a home how to do kit,
yeah,
people.
yeah.
And then,
And
then
we,
you're going to be one having to come and fix it after they try to install it for themselves and mess it up. Right.
yeah, then
So,
you have warranty problems there.
Yeah.
correct. So,
So that is so the thing is with us, we don't sell DIY products. Everything we sell is professional grade, so it actually requires a professional installer. So that is where the challenge had faced with us. Luckily for things like cameras, because of the technology, you could pre-program that and send it out, and it is easy to mount and jack in wires, but the configuration and proper placements is where the professionals would come in.
okay, cool.
You, when you asked the question, you had asked, it was about business and some other things. Could you remind me what were those things?
Well, among business, and if for you yourself as a person moving around in the country, whether it's on jobs or within your business itself, like if you saw anything that you think was actually a concern that you think people should be aware of and looking to address.
Okay, so yes, I mean, just the way people in general, I mean, we just came out of a lockdown. People wasn't even sure when we would be out of it. Retail has just opened,
Right.
and I mean, it's a lot of carelessness you're seeing out there with people and how they care about themselves. They're not following protocols. They walk in a store. They don't sanitize. Their mask is
Below the
not all the
nose.
way up. Yeah, so I mean, it's just you have to be as careful as you can be because I don't know how we're gonna stop that.
Well, we need everybody to be individually responsible so that we could
Yeah,
collectively move forward, as I always say. But that is the thing, though, trusting people to be responsible
Responsible.
individuals, because
yeah,
somebody don't want to sanitize or find it as over sanitized. Somebody don't want to wear a mask, or they're using it as a chin strap, or these type of things. And then when they do come in contact with a store owner or anyone that says, look, I'm not going to serve you unless you wipe you sanitize, or if you wear your mask properly. And that creates a whole sort of aggression that to me doesn't make sense, because we are trying to protect each other except that person. So what do we do in that regard, right? We have to do what is right, which is either deny them, or we ourselves distance ourselves to protect ourselves. But I know as well for you, see, the thing is for me, because, and what I'm wary of, because you manage teams, I guess technicians and stuff like that. No, they would have their family, yes, but they also have the teams in the business itself. I know some companies have very like strict policies and stuff like that, and I know you mentioned that at the time you were only, working to pay the employees, right? But the policies that you all put in place, or was there any policies you all put in place in regards to protecting each other? Like, did you all go on roster? Was it a matter of a certain type of scheduling?
we don't have that many teams in house.
Okay.
We had one team basically, and the rest of guys are subcontracted. So they are self
Right.
manageable. They are responsible. So they are not employees. So you don't
Okay.
have to micromanage these guys.
Correct.
You know, some of them have small businesses, so you know they are very responsible, and yeah, so we didn't have much of that to do, you know, but obviously we did ensure that I actually advise my clients, my technicians, you know, if they went to a site and a customer was, you know, ignorant to the protocols, they have all right
Right.
to explain themselves and leave,
And leave.
you know, or don't explain themselves and leave and notify me, and I would inform the customer of why that happened, because I wasn't about to, you know, there are some people that are ignorant to those things, and they have, you know, they're not taking into consideration the endangering other people's lives, you know.
Correct.
So I told them that, yeah, if that's a situation, if somebody's coming up on you and you specifically told them keep 6 feet away, if you're speaking to us, speak with a mask. You know, if those conditions were not met, then at their discretion they could leave.
Okay. Understood. Alistair, I
Yeah.
think your camera lights came on, your extra bright partner.
Yeah, I think something going on with my lights here. I'll check on that just now.
All right, no problem.
Because the
Yeah.
light came off.
So tell me, how much years have you been in business?
6 years.
6
So
years.
it's 2015.
Okay, cool. So for those that would be watching tonight, what are so for those who might want to actually start a business now during this time, you know, from the 6 years you have in business so far, what are some of the things you would tell them to be aware of?
It's not an easy process. Plan. I tell them to plan as much as they can. Talk to other people that has businesses or has been involved in businesses in management or anything like that,
All right.
and study the industry and understand it's not something that you start and you let your workers do all the work for you. That way you will, I think if when you do things like that, you stay stagnant or you become a dinosaur. You know, you don't discover like the innovative ways. You know, it depends on whether it's a service or product based company. For us, it's a mix of the two.
Right.
So I'm constantly researching. You know, even up to this morning, I had a meeting with an alarm systems company in Italy, and that is because we're always looking for the next innovative product.
Correct.
You know, so as to touch back on what we spoke about on prepackaged systems is, let's just say a lockdown hits us again. If somebody needs to secure their homes, these systems I'm able to manage it remotely. You know, so I can walk them through the installation process. I can check certain things right from where I'm sitting here,
Right.
and send a package to them, and it's wireless systems. So, I mean, a wireless sensor wouldn't be hard to mount, you know?
Yeah.
You screw it up on the wall. We would advise them through videos, you know, all these virtual technologies we have now. You know, we could walk them through the process. So, you know, and I also, like, always keep looking. Always keep looking. Don't stop. Don't think you've reached your pinnacle. That's just my philosophy. And it has worked for me where, you know, we started introducing one or two things and we saw a big reaction where you wouldn't even think that market was there,
Right.
but you have to take that risk, obviously calculated risks, but you know, never doubt yourself and your ideas. You know, you could fail once, but point is you try and
Not true.
keep trying. Just keep trying.
All right. In terms of your team itself and the shift that had to happen with respect to how the business had to make that shift during the time of the pandemic, how has the team adjusted in terms of themselves, especially like a technicians, persons who had to be on the road, and even with the different technology that you're looking to introduce? How have they been adjusting with respect to that shift, I should say, with respect to the business and how it's going on right now?
Well, during the lockdown, I mean, I guess everybody would have been worried, right? Like, because they were seeing that, you know, we have less call outs, you know, little to no installations.
Mhm.
You know, it was more like service and repairs, that kind of thing, right?
Right.
And now, well, everything, we haven't had a free day since the lockdown was lifted for construction, when construction was allowed to resume. You know, so I mean, everybody, I think they are more, I would say, more dedicated to their job now. You
Mhm.
know, seeing that what could have happened, or, you know, because those signs were showing us that, listen, we don't know when things would go back to normal, you know, and, you know, you take things for granted at sometimes. And I think everybody is more, you know, focused on getting the job done now. Not that they weren't before, but, you know, you get that little scare, you see that
Yeah.
little change in attitude, you know, things like that.
Okay.
Do you think that employees should actually be setting up, sorry, employers should be setting up some sort of like not relief program, but like counseling for their employees during these periods?
That is actually something I have reached out to a consultancy company for. And we would actually have that, but it's not going to be in-house. It's like somebody contracted outside. So, you know, conflict resolution, things like all of those things.
Right.
Yeah, they're going to have access to that actually.
Okay. Okay. Because I know
So
for
I think
some.
it is a good move because you don't know what people are going through. You know, a man is not going to tell you everything that's on his mind unless he know that it is confidential or to a professional. You know, so I think it is something because mental health is a serious thing.
Correct. Have you ever come across any situation where you probably observed an employee was, as we say, bouncing off the walls, and
Nah,
actually had to intervene yourself to say, well, hey, are you okay? You need to talk to somebody.
no, I
No.
haven't. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Because I've
Mhm.
heard of a couple of people, well, that who work from home even,
Hmm.
that not able to move around as they would have freely before, and these types of things tend to happen. There's so much, besides the fear of missing out, there's the fear of life and the fear of things coming to them, not that everybody, under that kind of pressure. So it's just interesting to find out if it is you ever observed of any employees, that they actually in and about people, because a lot of people get anxiety from having to travel, having to be in crowds. I remember for me going to work, um, going to the office, I should say back then. Yeah, the anxiety was real having to travel to Port of Spain and stuff like that. So I could only imagine for technicians who may have to go in
Face.
between people, yeah, people's homes and stuff like that. So, but that's fun.
Actually, for us, we actually don't be around many people, you know. Like
Okay.
when we are
Okay.
doing our jobs,
Mhm.
yeah, we, because even if we are going to installation, it can't be operation as normal. Even if we install a camera system or access control system, and I mean with a garage door, it's usually if it's an existing home, it's usually one person home and they don't sit there and monitor us. If
Of
it's a
course.
gate operator, you are at
Yeah.
the end of the property. So in the sun, so people are not gonna stand there with you. So
Sure.
we don't actually encounter too much of that. So we didn't have those issues.
Okay.
You
Well,
know?
that's good. That's good. Excellent. Alistair, anything on your mind there, Fame?
Yeah, I was actually looking at in terms of you're talking about client interaction, whether your residential clients or your commercial clients, as the case may be, and your interaction with them and the changes. Now, from your perspective, and it could be story mode as the case may be, did you all have any type of those unusual type calls with respect to COVID related or anything within that particular area there where you know you needed to be extra cautious or anything like that, especially like persons who, especially dealing with the Ministry of Health or anything like that. You're not trying to go too deep into anything in terms of disclosure, but anything in terms of like unusual type calls that you all had to be shift and adjust, especially when it comes to the health and well-being of your team. Anything like that that you all had to go through, it was smooth sailings mainly.
Luckily enough, no, we
Mm.
did not have any encounters like that. we had a smooth operation during COVID. There were one or two times the technicians would have explained to me that they were telling this guy keep his distance, and some people not being mindful. They
Yeah.
don't mean anything, but they're just not mindful at the time. But that was probably once that would have probably happened, but um, we never had anything alarming happen.
Alright, well, that's really good.
Yeah. Now keep
So,
in mind things were not busy, as well.
mhm.
Things, even though, as I said, we were permitted to work, um, it was not busy. So we didn't have plenty people to go to, and things like that. It was here and there, you know. And it crossed my mind about what's gonna be our position, but I just, as I said, I was researching. So I spent a lot of time online reading, learning, emailing companies, things like that.
Alright. So you currently like have a structure in place like to reach out to existing commercial or residential persons in terms of follow up, in terms of what type of services that they have coming up and upcoming like that, to be able to line up in place, so at least you know how you're gonna be running as the time goes.
So yeah. So as we know, in these times, convenience sells, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have been looking at a software where it'll assist us in the efficiency of the entire sales process with us. Meaning
Mm-hmm.
from the time you call us to the time a salesperson calls you back to conduct a site visit, send you a quotation to when the technician comes there. From that point of contact on the phone to the end of the installation, we have a software we're going to start using very shortly
Mm-hmm.
that will make that whole process smoother. Um, and it's going to change, I think it will change the customer experience with us.
Because I've always had one of the concerns that I have, especially when it comes to the customer experience and changes that are happening, is how the company employees as well as customers are able to adapt to these changes and these transitions that are going in right now. Because I mean that's kind of my background in terms of the user experience and making sure that these processes and everything that is connected works out for you all. Do you so you'll basically have a structure in place with respect to this new release of the technology and everything that you have going in play and everything like that? Do you foresee any type of challenges that you'll see coming up, especially with the remote connectivity for persons, in terms of like honestly maybe remote areas that they're working in, how it is that you're going
Yeah.
to be able to support persons with that type of infrastructure or lack thereof?
Right. So it did cross my mind. And one of the things I see is I foresee there may be reluctancy, because this system we are also trying to cover every aspect of liability as well. We're just trying to have everything documented here. So I can give you a perfect example. We did some biometric systems for a company, fingerprint readers, right? This was long before COVID and thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
So this particular company has a lot of taxi drivers as employees, right? And when we implemented these systems, I was actually training one of their staff member. So they had some of the employees close by. So, just for example purposes, I was demonstrating how to enroll a fingerprint, things like that, and the user credentials, things like that. And right then and there, I saw reluctancy for this guy to place his thumbprint on the biometric reader, because I didn't realize, but they were about to kick against this entire thing.
Mm.
And our job was finished. Now that company has to actually change policy in order to have that system compulsory. Meaning you have to enroll in that, and that's how you clock in and out. And so up to today, it is still off. The systems are off. It was never commissioned officially. So judging from that, I think we would see some form of reluctancy or resistance from clients with digitally signing off on a job and things like that. So, but it is something we're gonna have to work around when we get there, because I don't have any workarounds for it. I guess we may have to have some form of paper paperwork there. I guess we will have that as backup, and then they can manually enter those things in the software, in the system. In terms of remote access, yes, that is a concern, because obviously this thing will be based off of cellular data, as it's cloud technology, so it needs to be online. That is something I still have to talk with the company about. If it is, you could do this while you're offline, but when you get back, connectivity, if it will upload, or you could manually upload it, to update the system as well. Because I think they would have covered that area already, but I did not ask about it.
All right. I think generally, and I mean, people might find me knocking Trinidad sometime. I think generally we are resistant to certain sets of changes within Trinidad and Tobago, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, COVID pushed certain things to the limit where you had no choice but to adapt. So fine, people were able to adapt to certain things. So like persons connecting to Zoom and all of these things like that. Persons would not have been doing that before, but now they're doing it. But you're gonna be
I was one
facing,
of them.
you
I was
see,
one of them, yeah.
yeah. So you see, look at that. So now you're gonna see some of these changes happening, and to be quite honest, they still have a number of commercial places that don't even have internet on their site. So a number of these shifts and things that you're gonna be facing. So I mean, from your perspective, you're gonna be pioneering in terms of doing this area of new technology and everything like that. And so, how are you going to? Well, I think I answered it a bit there with respect to seeing how it is that you can actually make that step in terms of transitioning your persons from this particular way of thinking and doing things to something else. So besides persons who resistant to change, do you see any other challenges that you were most likely to face and may have certain things in place or may not have things in place as yet with respect to it?
Um, what I would see, because we are doing, like, new products and things like that. Um, Obviously, brand awareness. People are going to be aware of some of the brands that we carry.
Mm-hmm.
But that is what our marketing plan is there for. We are very big on educating our customers. So we try to give as much information as we can on any product that we sell you. Our quotations are very detailed. Every quotation we send out, we attach a spec sheet to that for the products listed there. And I strongly advise my customers. I even tell some of them plain as, don't take my advice, don't take my word for it. You do your research. Just Google whatever you see there, any quotation, and see if it what I tell you about it, if that's the information out there about it, or the reviews, because we don't believe in selling subpar products or anything like that. So we have a couple of new brands that we'll be launching, and I see that we will have some difficulty there, some stepping stones, but that is the challenge that I actually like. I like to take those challenges, because I know we are not doing the same thing. We actually have a new type of technology for gates. It's more geared towards intensive use commercial gates. It's a problem we see here where, large gated communities that have a lot of residents, 100, 200 residents, we get a lot of service calls for those, where we have to service and repair other systems that people install. And it's all due to the fact that the technology that those systems are based on is flawed. So there is something called brushless motors. I mean, it is out there in tools and things like that, but it is not here for gate operators because it carries the cost up
Oh.
of the systems. What it does is it enables for more cycles. Cycles is opening and closing of a gate. So a lot more cycles at lower energy consumptions. And lower energy consumption means less heat. So, you know, the motor lifespan is a lot longer. You know, in my research, I have seen dealers in the UK and stuff like that, and other countries as well, even India and places like that. They're offering 8 years warranty on those things, you know,
Okay.
but I mean, 8 years warranty will cover a service contract, you know, and you tell a trainee about a service contract, they'll say you're just trying to make money on me. But really and truly, you have to go there to make sure that gate is in proper working order. Because people neglect their gates, you know. Once they automate it, that's it. They say, well, when it stopped working, we'll call the gate people. You know, so that's what we see all the time. We see that all the time, and so I mean, I may not be able to extend 8 years warranty unless you know we probably have a service contract and we can maintain that gate properly. But that is one of the exciting technologies for me, you know, to bring something to the market that is totally new here.
All right, all right, all right. You brought up no, just going back a little bit with respect to your team and different shifts and adjustments and everything. And I remember you just brought up with respect to your marketing team, and I mean with everything pushing with
No, I
respect
said
to
the plan.
plan, but so the marketing team is.
Yeah, yeah. We no, well, we'll leave that to the pro, so we'll probably contact an agency for that, you know.
Okay, okay, okay. So you don't have
Yeah,
like an internal team that deals in terms of kind of pushing out the business and everything like that
that's
existing right.
sales. We're working on that.
Okay, okay,
We're
okay.
working on sales people actually, but because our products are technical, it is difficult. You know, you have to train people on products, and I
Yeah.
mean, I don't like misinforming people. So if I send a salesperson to you, I expect them to have some knowledge of that product. So therefore, the new systems that I'm doing, I would unlikely be involved in that sales process until I feel that I've trained someone has demonstrated to me, you know, they share the same knowledge or close to it, that they can explain themselves about the product properly. But we do have that plan. We have two people actually in training right now. And how we start that is on the field training. So they go schedule their site visits. I go with them and I show them right then and there like what they look for.
Okay, okay, okay. All right. Chris, you have any questions here?
Yeah, I'm hearing about plans, right? So let's say worst case scenario, and I'll even ask one, do you think the country can handle another lockdown? And two, as a business owner, do you think that you can handle another lockdown?
For the country, I mean, we handled two. People were suffering there. If you look at all the hamper drives and things like that, the turnouts were surprising,
It's, yeah,
right?
for a lot of
Very,
people.
very more disturbing than surprising to me, you know. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure, you know, how people will cope, you know, because even when they have some of those hamper drives, you have seen police going and stopping it, you know. I mean, I don't blame if it is not organized properly and, you know, they're allowing chaos to occur. Then obviously that needs to be controlled, right?
Correct.
Because you don't want people, you know, not following guidelines and, you know, they helter skelter all over the place. In terms of me surviving in business, so some of the brands that we represent here, we don't represent them here alone.
Okay.
And this is something that I did during COVID. I put a lot of focus into it. So we represent them in the region. So any countries that I have interest in, once they get the inquiries there, they'll send it to me. Or if I want to go there and set up shop, I am able to do so. So what I looked at is I'm actually in talks with a buyer in Suriname that wants to buy wholesale.
All right.
Right. So we are all now we are setting those things up. I am actually looking at Guyana's market as well,
Right.
because their lockdowns are not as bad as ours. You know, their government tried it and they stood up and they said, you're not going to lock us down, like, you know, to that extent where
Okay.
you literally can't do anything. So that is some of my plans for, you know, if we end up in another lockdown, because there's very little we can do here. You know, I
Correct.
could go e-commerce, but there's only so much we can do on
So
e-commerce.
Mhm.
You know, so it's very limited. And I mean, I always offer whoever is on staff with me at that time the option to go. You know, if they want to go over there, because if there's opportunities there, and I tell them, listen, you could support your family there, and you know, it's new opportunities. Um, you know, if they want to go, we will facilitate that as well.
All right. So you mentioned, so basically you are expanding your distribution chain in that sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we've heard a lot of business owners complain about the cost of shipping and having to deal with customs. Have you run into any of those issues in your own distribution chain and getting your products?
We have more supply chain issues than shipping issues,
All right.
because of raw materials shortages.
Right.
So we don't ship out of China. Anything that needs to come in a container, we don't ship it out of China. Right? What we bring out of China is things that they are very good at, which is CCTV and biometric systems, because they have brands that are headquartered in China. They have their own manufacturing, but they have
Right.
branches in the US and other countries. So they are not just no-name manufacturer. They are international brand. So we know there is guaranteed quality there. There's quality control, you know, things like that. So we haven't been that much affected. We have to deal with a lot of price increases on products, because a lot of our products are metal. You know,
Yes.
garage doors are metal, gate operators. What we bring, the internals are metal.
Metal.
You know, the racks that run across the gate, that pulls the gate, that is metal.
Prices,
So
yeah.
I think it was probably this morning or yesterday, I just got a price list with increased prices. You know, so that is more the challenge we have had to face. And
What kind of range you're looking at in terms of increase, not a cutting?
so it's gradual, you know, because if you remember when steel started to raise,
Right.
it was raising gradually.
Okay.
You know, I mean, you had like corrugated steel. I think that just doubled. That went up like 100%. But the other steel, you would find that they raised gradually over months, and the hardware would tell you this is the price today. This is not the price tomorrow or next week. And that's why they were doing that, because it's not they were controlling it. You know, that's how the steel market was.
Yeah.
And it actually still is, right? So for instance, on garage doors, we have had since January a 70% increase
Wow.
on the cost of our garage doors, because they are entirely steel. You know, the panels are steel. So it's a lot. Gate operators, we haven't seen that much increase. The last we were quoting on shipping and stuff, it didn't seem to be much of a difference to us. It is an increase, but is incremental. You know, the problem lies in delivery time.
Right.
Yeah, that is where you see problems. You know, so I had a container reach here in July. That left the factory a long time before.
Yeah.
And it reached the port, and it stayed there for a little over 2 weeks. You know, which is not normal. It normally, as that hits that boatyard, it goes on the next day out or the same day,
Correct.
depending on the time it reaches. So as far as supply chain issues, that is what we have seen. In garage doors, we have seen two things: price increases,
Right.
and also shortages in supplies. So as it stands right now, as today, we can't place a order right now,
Wow.
because they don't
Yeah.
have they will send us parts of a door.
Parts.
So,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
they'll send us the panels that you see, but all
Yes.
the important parts that actually do the
Yeah, the
lifting.
motor and the racks and all. Wow. So
Yeah.
in terms of the supply chain, and like you mentioned, how that cost went up by 70%, and I know other people will be facing that very same challenge and those increases. How are you now able to buffer that in terms of not having to, or if there is is the case, you now have to basically put that cost on your clients? Is
Okay, so there's two things we did, right? One is we absorb some of that cost because you remember if a door costs $5,000, it's not we're going to charge 10,000 for it because you have to factor in the freight cost there, labor costs, things like that, brokerage, all that. Those things did not go up. It was the cost of the door. So you will see an increase. So we will absorb a percentage of that so it doesn't be, drastic. Secondly, what we did was we decided to move away from the norm. I think I touched on this earlier.
Yes.
So our doors, for some reason, I decided I want to try something new, and I'm tired of offering people the same thing that, everyone is offering. And a big challenge for us in this market is, I'm not knocking their products, but it is the Chinese products, right? And I mean, there's two different products, and people always think it's the same. So then you have two different price ranges. And when you sell the same thing that looks like each other, there's no way a customer is going to see why your price is a lot higher, or what's the point of buying the American door,
Yeah.
So what I did was I found my niche and I offered colored doors, modern style doors. And I literally have customers waiting now. They're waiting until we are placing an order, so that because we booking out doors, like we will be booking it out as in the container. So by the time it reaches, we know, all right, 20 doors is going to these people here, right? So what we have seen there is good, very, very, very good response. And for some reason, people thought those prices would have been unreasonable. But they're actually the same prices we try to match prices of those here.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Is there any way, because this is a question actually coming from one of the viewers tonight. Is there any way those doors could be manufactured here or even in the region to help keep costs down?
I think there is a possibility, but it will be a high cost, high cost setup, and my main concern is quality control.
Correct.
That's my main concern. Sorry, that's my main concern. It is quality control because when I just started, we did install Chinese doors, and well, we don't install it anymore because we have encountered issues, right?
Yeah.
And think of this. This is a door. This is the largest door in your home. It's moving. And it goes over your vehicle. It hangs over your vehicle, right? So I'm not want to take chances with things like that, and that quality control is a big concern for me because, there are people in related industries that manufacture here and the reviews are not good on their products. Yeah, it's not good. So I spoke to my manufacturers about that already, as if we could, set up in this region, because this is a big region.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a Trinidad and Tobago, but they told me they can't stamp their brand on that,
right?
Because they would have to send their management here, somebody from their management. Likewise, like Apple, what Apple do in China with their assembly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is Apple management there.
Yeah.
It's never left to anything else, So the cost-wise, I think it is easier for them to continue manufacturing because these companies, they're on hundreds of acres of land and their warehouses are humongous and factories. And so, I believe in leaving it there for now until because that is something that there's a lot of management there for me and for what I would think here. Just because of the fact that if that door force, it could damage someone or something valuable or a pet or, you know,
Yeah.
because of that. And
Yeah.
So,
All right. All right. That's good. Well, we're wrapping up now, so I want to give you the next, couple minutes to more or less let people know fully about your business and where they can find you if they're interested in any of your services. And we'll make sure to put your website and social media contacts in the chat so people can check you out. So the floor is yours in sharing, what your business does right now.
okay. So at Jax, we specialize in access control and security systems, right? So that ranges from your basic keypad entry locks to manage integrated access control systems with card readers. You can restrict access by time, by day, by employee to different security levels in your building. We specialize in IP CCTV, which is, just internet protocol cameras. We have a main focus on analytics, video analytics, where you consider this like smart cameras. It's not just there to record, it could notify you of different events. And it's smart enough to tell the difference between a vehicle, a human, a dog, a leaf, things like that. That's CCTV. We're now entering, I won't say we're not entering, but we're now trying to introduce smart alarm systems where it integrates into or expands into a full home automation system. So for instance, you could buy alarm system from us this year, and next year you decide, okay, you want to expand the system into controlling your lights, your air condition, you want to monitor energy usage in your home, things like that. Yeah. So that's as far as alarms, because right now alarms just alarm when somebody breaks in,
Seem correct.
And that's one of the reasons why we're focusing on that analytics and CCTV, because alarm systems, yes, there's outdoor motion sensors, but those things will pick up any movement, or it's immune to a pet, up to a certain weight. But it's not intelligent enough to know, if that's a person, like, that kind of thing.
Correct.
And rain usually affects those things and different weather conditions. So with the CCTV, it could enable you to actually get alerts from your perimeter now. Without being there like an electric fence, somebody comes over your wall and detects a human there at that time, within that certain time frame. It alerts you, or maybe if there's video monitoring in TNT, it could alert that monitoring center.
All right.
And then we have our automation side of things, which is rolling shutters. So that's for commercial buildings, industrial buildings, warehouses, things like that. Those are the metal gates that you see roll up into one head.
Yeah.
And garage doors, as we spoke about a lot on, and gate operators. That is what we specialize in. We supply, install. We also service and repair in gates and doors and shutters, almost any brand. We will service it. We'll let you know though once we're there. We always ask for, a photo or a brand. So we let you know if the parts are readily available. And once it is, we could help you out there.
Okay.
All right. And your website is Jax Enterprise?
JaxTT.com.
JaxTT.com.
Yeah.
Are you on social media?
Yeah, we're on Facebook as Jax Remote Gates, Garage Doors and Access Solutions. And on Instagram, we are Jax Access and Alarms.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right.
I tried to get those names changed, but Facebook won't let me change it now.
Okay.
I want to get a short time.
That's fine. Once you have your website, that is the main thing. That is yours. You own that. All right. Facebook and Instagram and all this stuff could go away, but you will still have what is your.
That's right.
That belongs to you. All right.
Yeah,
So that's good. Yeah.
Did you all see where a lot of local businesses with social media pages were taken over?
But they were hacked, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that happens periodically. I don't know what, I remember there was a couple of ministries as well that got attacked. That would have probably been 2019 though. But yeah, over time, a lot of.
But did they regain access to that?
The companies?
Yeah.
Well, usually there's the two things you can do. Well, apart from just try to change your password, you have to alert whether it's Facebook or Instagram that this has happened, and then there's a time period sometimes before you get it back. Unfortunately, it's never always immediate response to that. That's the downside of that. If it's something simple where you can still get on and change your password and regain it, then fine. Websites, of course, you have a control of your back end, so you could always just remove any unnecessary or anything you found in your proxy or whatever came over your firewall and remove that. But with social media, because it's not yours, you usually have to contact their help, their support desk, to try to regain it. Whether it's Skype, it could be a Zoom account, it could be Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You have to contact their support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that is frightening. That especially if someone spends a lot of money in ads to build that audience and build that reach, and then you lose that. What then? And you can't regain control. That is because when I saw it, I saw a lot of pages that I liked, and they were businesses. One of them was a friend of mine, and I think he told me he was leaving it. He's leaving it.
Start over.
No, he say he have Instagram, so that's not. But he's into like you could say that he's manufacturing, so he doesn't really need social media that much.
Okay.
Yeah. His business is not based like that, so.
Okay.
So he was lucky in that.
Yeah, but a lot of people sometimes they just leave it, have Instagram, let's say, shut it down, and they start over a new account and they just try to contact the people who would have been avid followers of their profiles before.
Yeah, re-invite people and
just
stuff
re-invite
like
people and let people know, hey, my last account was hacked at 200,000 or whatever. I don't know why they put that figure, but that number, but whatever. But yeah, they do. But it's just a process. It's just a process. Most people don't bother with it and they just start over. So that's fine. But we'll make sure that we leave, your contact information in the chat, so anybody interested in any of these services, like whether for the gate, I know some people may actually be looking at those automated gate services as well. So we'll make sure they have your contact. And thanks for sharing your time with us. Thanks for sharing your little insight into your business and what you do. Like I said, this is for us to more or less get a little peek behind the curtain as to those going through the pandemic and having to deal with the ups and downs of lockdown, lack of revenue for the business, lack of revenue for the household as well, So any closing remarks, Alistair?
Yeah, again, Kieran, thanks again for coming on the conversation. I know we had our little chat and thing before that, and I really appreciate in terms of you coming on in spite of everything, man. So I really appreciate that, and thank you very much for everything that you have shared on the show today. Definitely for that. For persons who are listening online as well too, don't forget to like and share the video. We're going to be on YouTube as well too, so you can go ahead and let persons subscribe to the conversation, the YouTube channel, and you can go ahead and share this as much persons as possible, because there are persons out there who have their businesses and they want to be able to get a little bit of encouragement, a little insight in terms of what are the next steps that they can do to make that shift, because quite frankly, some businesses have not made that shift and basically struggling right now. So this is just our opportunity of being able to bring things to the limelight and let persons know, look, you can make the shift. It's not too late. Make the adjustments and everything like that. So again, for persons who are online, thank you very much for connecting. Kieran, again, thank you so much for being on the show. Any other closing remarks, Chris?
Well, as always, make sure to join us again next week, Tuesday. We will have other guests online sharing their pivot during the pandemic. And until such time, please continue to adhere to all COVID protocols. Make sure to wash your hands, wear your mask, and practice social distancing. So until next time, thank you for joining us here on the conversation. All right? Good night.
Guys, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right, then.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Okay, take care.